Hey guys, Ashrak here, and today I'm bringing you another action figure review. This time we're looking at the Wonder Woman 84 action figure from Medicom Toy, and this is the Golden Armor version of Wonder Woman from the movie. So the Wonder Woman 84 movie was not that well received by moviegoers because the movie plot was a little convoluted and there were a lot of different plot lines to follow, as well as there were a lot of plot holes because the whole monkey paw kind of emerald gem thing that grants wishes wasn't thought out properly, and when it did grant wishes there were no repercussions that stuck around because there were some pretty big wishes granted, and how the gem turned into the actual person, yeah, that was a little bit confusing. So it wasn't received that well by the moviegoers, but this action figure still looks pretty awesome. Looking at the front of the box, we have the Wonder Woman 84 logo right at the bottom there, right above the MAFEX number 148 graphic. We've got Wonder Woman on the left with her golden armor and her wings, an actual version of Gal Gadot on the right there, which is like an image that's taken from the movie, and the Medicom Toy logo at the bottom right. On this side of the box, we see a picture of Wonder Woman, the action figure with her wings out, and the MAFEX logo up top with the Wonder Woman logo on the bottom. On the back of the box, we see a lot of the promotional pictures that were shown to us before the figure released. So they look pretty exciting, and there's a lot of promotional pictures because the box is a lot bigger as well. They fit a lot more onto there, and most of the pictures look pretty darn good, to be honest. On this side here, we've got the Wonder Woman 84 logo, a picture of Wonder Woman the action figure, and also the hologram trigger up here. And on the bottom, we just get a whole bunch of legal details as well as some warnings and choking hazard signs. So here we have Wonder Woman outside the packaging, and she does have a really striking, eye-catching kind of look where there's a lot of gold on her body just like in the movie, and there's a lot of sculpted details on the body as well. So it's a really nicely done figure. I can feel like there's enough heft to it to feel very premium, and there's a lot of sculpting work and details added to the figure while keeping all the MAFEX articulation intact. So I'm really happy about that. The joints also feel very sturdy as I'm moving it at the moment. And yeah, there's a lot to love about this action figure, but there's not a whole lot to love about the movie. So, well, I think a lot of people might skip it because of the poor reception of the movie, but I still think like it's a really good Wonder Woman action figure. So taking a close look at Wonder Woman's face, there is a very good resemblance to Gal Gadot. And the armor has so much details on it. Like you can see the eagle head on top of Wonder Woman's head, which is the helmet. And there's a lot of intricate details in the helmet as well. The painting on the face is done really, really nice. The neck armor is very well done as well. The armor overall on the body is also amazing. The hair does look a little bit strandy. Like it's not like a volume of hair, or rather it's just strands placed on the head, which is a little bit weird because MAFEX usually does good hair. But I mean, it's not that bad. We've got other heads to look at as well, but for this head, it's not that bad. The bicep swivel is something that I have a little bit of a complaint with because it's just a straight cut. So it just contributes to adding some unnatural kind of look, which could have been avoided with like using MAFEX's usual articulation joint. But I think it's not that bad, but it just shows up really stands out, which is not the best either. The details on the gauntlets are well done. There's really light etching of the grooves that go onto the gauntlets, which is really nice. The wrist wrap or the hand wrap is also very well done, and it's painted as well. The painting is as clean as possible on a fist that small, but it's a really admirable how they've done that. The details on the actual leg armor pieces on Wonder Woman is really nice as well, and the mesh that's coming from within, or well, it's mesh, it's not a mesh, but it's the mesh kind of mesh like armor, I guess, or the Under Armour plating here, that also looks really nice. And the boots are very small, but she stands pretty well because the range of motion that these allow for, they don't stick like McFarlane where they have like ratchets that stick to each point. These are more free flowing, so you can adjust it however you want, and they stick or allow them to stand, allows Wonder Woman to stand pretty well. The only thing that I don't like about the boots is that the ball joint here is not gold. It's more, it's a gold, but it's not shiny like the rest of the body. But they have to do that because they're using a different kind of harder plastic for that part. So I understand that, but yeah, it just doesn't provide as much to the aesthetic of the figure. So my Wonder Woman also comes with 2 additional heads in the packaging, but they look exactly the same to me. I can't really tell if there's much of a difference in the faces, and they look exactly the same to me. So I don't know if it's a pack-in mistake, but the hair sculpt is a little bit different. If you can see, this strand here is jutting out, whereas for this head, there is no jutting out strand. So it might be a little bit different in terms of the hair sculpt, but it doesn't make that much of a difference, and the faces look exactly the same, but the head sculpt does look very Gal Gadot, and the resemblance and likeness is definitely there. So here's what Wonder Woman looks like with the head swapped out. It's a pretty good fit, and the head sculpt definitely is very Gal Gadot, but yeah, with the armor, I think this piece is a lot better. And the thing that bugs me a lot is that hair piece here. It looks like hair stuck on top of hair, which is a little bit weird, and in action figure form it just stands out a lot more as well. So that's the only thing that bothers me. So I'll probably stick to displaying it with this head here, but for an alternate head, it's not that bad. I just wish that I got either the actual head that I was supposed to get, or just a different expression would have been nice. So Wonder Woman comes with fists out of the packaging, which are very nice, but she also comes with these gripping holding hands that can hold on to the lasso. She also comes with these gesturing or more relaxed hands, which also have been painted really well. The hand wraps around the hand is done really well. The paint is not bleeding over. That's really nicely done. She comes with this pair of holding hands as well. So these are a little bit different to the gripping hands because it's a larger grip. So they might be able to hold on to some other accessories. So because the hands come with sprues, I would assume that they're really easy to swap in and out. So if we take off this hand here and put this on, yeah, absolutely no problems, really easy to swap in and out. So if we look at this Wonder Woman action figure, we have like this brown tab here that can be removed. So the reason it can be removed is because Wonder Woman comes with a lasso accessory that can plug into this spot here, and it looked like she stored her lasso on her hip. She also comes with an additional lasso that is without the peg, and it doesn't need to be stored on her hip. And she also comes with a third lasso, which is the untangled or the uncoiled lasso, which is very long and a lot better than the other 2 accessories. This one I wouldn't use that much. This one would look good if you're museum posing her on the shelf, but this one would be more useful for dynamic poses. So I guess there is enough lasso to do whatever you want with her. So another thing that this Wonder Woman action figure comes with is a tab at the back here that can be removed very, very easily. And this little tab basically houses Wonder Woman's cape. So that's the next accessory we're looking at. And yeah, let's dive into it. So Wonder Woman's cape comes in 4 parts. We've got one part that is basically the closed cape that would fit onto Wonder Woman, and it doesn't basically do anything more than this. We've also got another part which is the open cape, which is a 3-part piece. So we've got pegs on the side here, which would house these massive wing like accessories which hang on to an already massive piece of wing. So you basically just slot them in like this, and these will then fit into Wonder Woman's back. So it's a massive piece, and we'll take a look at it in its full glory. But yeah, it just looks a little bit ridiculous to me. It's a little bit too big, but let's see how we can put it onto the figure. So here we have the first version of Wonder Woman's wings, and these are the closed ones. These are entirely too heavy and too massive for this action figure. That's why I'm holding on to her, because she cannot stand without me holding on to her. So the stand that is included in the box would be very necessary for us to pose this Wonder Woman with any kind of wing accessory. The hair sculpt, however, does make more sense now, because the strandy hair basically can get out of the way much more easier, and it would look a lot less natural if it was just like a big lump, and it would push the head around quite a bit. So this does work, but then they do look a little bit odd when when the wings are not there. So it's a give and take kind of situation. You win some, you lose some, but the wings are pretty big, pretty heavy, pretty chunky, so I wouldn't recommend displaying her with it. It just doesn't look that practical. And her torso the sternum joint here moves quite a lot because the wings are that heavy. So if you think the previous wings were trouble, these wings are a whole different problem entirely. They are way too massive. They do resemble the movie version of the wings quite a lot, but it's very impractical for this action figure, and they provide us with a stand that has additional parts just to hold on to the wings. So that's how unreasonable it is. It does follow the movie quite closely, and it does resemble the movie version of Wonder Woman, but it's very impractical, and I wouldn't display her with these wings on my shelf. But yeah, they do look pretty good if you can get them to display correctly, but it's just not practical for me. So let's jump into a quick look at the articulation on this Wonder Woman action figure. Her head can look up about that much. The hair does hinder her movement quite a bit. It can look down quite a lot, which is a lot better than looking up. Side to side, no issues. It can turn around quite comfortably, no issues there. The hair does get a little bit of hindrance there, but then you're not trying to turn her head like all the way around 180, which a normal person wouldn't be able to do, so it's still reasonable. Her neck joint is a little bit more stiff. I don't know if it's a separate neck joint. It looks like there is some allowance to the neck joint there, but I can't get it to trigger that. Oh, there you go. So it does move back and forth a little bit and not much side to side. It could have been like the same piece as the body, and it wouldn't have made that much of a difference. So the neck is pretty much very minimal in terms of posability allowance. The shoulders have the butterfly joint that's embedded within the chest cavity, and it does allow for good movement. Her rotation upwards is limited by the armor piece here, but she can go out about 90, go up about that much, go back quite a bit as well, just not right directly above her head. She has a bicep swivel that works pretty well. Because it's straight cut, it does look a little bit unnatural, but it is what it is. Double jointed elbows work not that well. I mean, for a figure that is that skinny, I would have expected her to get like a lot more range here, but it's a little bit disappointing that the range is so limited. Wrists are okay. The peg is very small, so I would be worried a little bit trying to move it, especially in the wrong direction. So I'll be a little bit careful about that. The torso articulation side to side is okay. The top of the torso can crunch forward that much and crunch back about that much using just the top, which is decent. Using the top and the bottom, it just allows for that little bit more of a crunch, so that's a little bit better than just using the top. Round and round rotation is not that bad, but yeah, you have to be a little bit careful about paint scratches, because if this part touches this part, there might be some scratches. So I'm a little bit cautious while doing that. This figure does not come with drop down hinges, does it? Oh, it does. I just couldn't activate it before. So it comes with drop down hinges, which is nice. She can kick forward about that much, and she can kick back a little bit less because the sculpted armor piece is in the way. The hinge is very tight, the drop down hinge, but it's all right. There is slight rotation at the thighs, which could have been a lot better. Double jointed knees that can go up pretty much all the way, so that's actually pretty decent. Her legs or her feet can go forward and back, no issues there. Pivot, no issues there as well, and they can rotate around. And there's a toe hinge as well. The toe hinge is very slight because it's a very petite kind of foot, but it works. So the range is definitely limited, but it should be able to do like most poses, I would imagine. But yeah, it is normal MAFEX articulation, but the armor piece or the armor pieces do hinder the articulation quite a bit. So in terms of height comparisons, here we have some different Wonder Woman action figures from different lines. On the extreme left, we've got the DC Rebirth Wonder Woman from DC Icons. Right next to her, we've got the SH Figure Arts Wonder Woman 84 Wonder Woman, which is, in this lineup, my favorite Wonder Woman. She does look quite a lot like Gal Gadot, and I don't know, it's just something about the hair that really gets me to like that figure. It's eye-catching to me. The Golden Armor Wonder Woman in the middle, and on the right we've got the Mezco BVS Wonder Woman. She does have a more roundish kind of head with more human proportions, but yeah, that figure is not the best. I mean, it fits in with the Mezco figures, but it could have been done a lot better. The soft goods is not as prominent, and it's not a lot of soft goods, so being Mezcofied doesn't make that much sense, but it's still a good action figure. And on the extreme right, we've got the MAFEX. I think it's the BVS Wonder Woman. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's I got that figure loose, so it's a MAFEX Wonder Woman from one of the movies. So for people that were wondering, here we have the MAFEX, I think Justice League. I don't know if it's a Justice League Wonder Woman, but we've got the other MAFEX Wonder Woman that I have in my collection. And to swap out the heads, I don't think it's possible. I tried it off camera as well, because the peg here is a little bit too big and the head allowance here is a little bit too small, so the heads will not be swappable. In terms of how they look, I think the updated version definitely has a much better likeness to Gal Gadot, but because she's missing that tiara, this one is more accurate to the movies. But yeah, this one still is a upgrade in terms of head sculpt quality. So here we have Wonder Woman next to the Zack Snyder version of Superman from MAFEX on the right, and the BMS Toys Black Suit Superman on the left. And because these are completely different action figures, the BMS Toys obviously brings cloth good to the table, whereas the MAFEX version is more aesthetically pleasing and brings MAFEX's articulation system. So they're different action figures, but both are very nice. And finally, we've got the slightly modified version with shortened legs on the left, the Wonder Woman 84 McFarlane Toys Wonder Woman, and on the right, the normal unchanged Golden Armor Wonder Woman from McFarlane Toys as well. And the scales are pretty much off, and this Wonder Woman action figure, even without comparing it to other lines, even within McFarlane, is pretty tall. So yeah, it's a completely different scale. So all in all, in conclusion, I would have to say that this Wonder Woman action figure is, I think, sculpted really well, and for what it does, it's not that bad. But for the price point that is higher than the average MAFEX action figure, and for the accessories that it comes with, which are not that usable, that need a completely different stand just to make it work, and because they take up so much space on the shelf as well, it's a good figure, but it's too expensive, and for the price point, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a figure that would stand out, definitely yes, because Wonder Woman has a really unique looking armor that is very contextual to the comics as well as the movie this figure is based in. But all the other things that come with this action figure, especially with the accessories and all the different aspects of the action figure, it's not worth the price of entry, in my opinion. This is still a really good Wonder Woman action figure. If you can get her on a discount, it might be worth more of your time than it is for full price retail purchase. But yeah, all in all, I would not recommend this action figure purely because the accessories are not as usable and the figure itself is a little bit lackluster in terms of what you get in the packaging and how you can display her. So there you have it, guys, another action figure review done and dusted. I hope that this figure review was informative and will help you in some kind of way. I know I'm late to this review because I had to go overseas for a thing, but yeah, I received this action figure I think about a month ago, and I just sat on it because I had to go overseas, and now I'm back. I'm looking to do more YouTube videos hopefully and bring you more awesome content. I have also put an update on my Instagram as well as my YouTube Shorts channel for the new action figure prototype body, or the buck body, that I'm working on. I'm working with some drop down hinges. If you look at the short video that I put up earlier, it demonstrates how the articulation point works. So if you're interested in things like that, follow me on my Instagram as well. I post a lot of stuff up there because it's a lot easier to just click a photo and put it up rather than making a whole video. So if you're interested in that kind of thing where I'm experimenting with stuff, definitely follow my Instagram channel. And if you want to see more content like this, reviews, more things that I come up with, or more crazy things I do, experiment with, yeah, follow me on YouTube as well. And your subscription means quite a lot to me. I'm a small channel that's trying to grow out, so hopefully I get to grow and it becomes a bigger channel. But I'm really excited for what the future holds. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.